Hello and welcome to another Java tutorial on if conditions. In this tutorial we will be looking at another if condition problem where we will be accepting a couple of numbers from user and then we'll be comparing to see which one of the two is larger. And then we're going to be talking about a logical problem that could run in that situation and how to overcome that logical problem by enhancing the if condition. So first of all, we would like to declare a couple of variables that will be used in this example. Then we'll be taking help from the scanner class as talked about in the past, which will be used to accept input from user. And scanner class comes from a different package than the java.lang package, so therefore we would have to import it. And then after that we would now like to start with a prompt message which will be asking user to enter a value for num1, and then we need to read that input into the variable. Then we're going to be repeating the same process for num2, and we'll be taking the value for num2 from user into num2. After the two values are taken in place, we would now like to compare the two values. That if num1 is greater than num2, then I would like to display to the user that num1 is greater. And if that isn't the case, then num2 is greater. Now after writing this short program, we would now like to execute this program so that you could see what's going on here in this program. It says enter a value for num1, so I said 23. Then enter a value for num2, that's 45. It says num2 is greater, okay, because 45 is greater than 23. Now let me put a space here so that there's a space after the prompt. Let's try to run it again. If I enter 45 for num1 and 22 for num2, it says number 1 is greater. Okay, so that case was also successful. Now I'll try to run it again. This time I'm going to enter 45 in both, and now it says num2 is greater, which is logically in error because 45 is not greater than 45. So in order to fix these kind of problems, what we do is we introduce more than two conditions. Right now we only have an if and an otherwise. Now we're going to introduce an intermediate condition which we're going to say, okay, if num1 is greater than num2, then num1 is greater. If num1 is less than num2, then num2 is greater. If num1 is neither greater than num2 nor less than num2, then there is only one possibility, and that will be num1 is same as num2. Now we're going to try to execute this code again. So we're going to enter value 45, then num1 is same as num2. If we enter different values, it'll going to pretty much say whichever one is greater. Then if I enter this time a greater value for num2, it'll say num2 is greater. So in this brief example, what we pretty much looked at is how to write an if condition that tests for more than two cases. Hope you would have enjoyed this tutorial. I'll catch you soon in a different tutorial.